Welcome to Vol Stars, where we talk everything markets and those who make them. Today's episode brought to you by Palantir Apparel Company. We sell the finest apparel illegal immigrants can create, whether it be tees, American flag patches, baseball caps, gym shorts, and even tote bags. Check us out at store.palantir.com. Buy something, or we will shoot you in the butthole with a laser, just like we did to Osama bin Laden. And finally, by GammaStrike.com, providing actual real-time data for every type of trader. I've tried the rest, now try the best, GammaStrike.com. I can't believe you guys still allow me to do these things. I'm JFresh, and I'm joined by our co-host, Gherk and Dork. Let's get into the market overview. All right, guys. Palantir, what do they do? They're not doing great.
I hear they help the U.S. military kill people. They're really good at that.
I can attest to the fact that the financial stuff they've designed is complete dog shit.
Okay.
How do I know that?
Yeah, you probably can't
Who
tell
knows?
us. They've probably got a laser targeted right on a certain body part on you right now.
I hope so. Alex Karp can clean my butthole with his laser.
It's the new optical
Anytime he
bidet,
wants.
okay, guys?
What a tool.
Was it a saber he
I'm
had?
glad
What
Burry
was the
shorted
official
them.
name of that? Was that like a... Did you guys see the video of him just like jabbing the sword? He had like a...
No.
You guys haven't seen this?
Now I need
okay,
to.
you guys have to... Okay. Sorry for everybody listening. We're going to take a quick break here because this is peak Americana.
Oh,
Even though
Lord.
Alex Karp is he German? He did his graduate work in Germany. He's like a psychologist or something. He's not a real thing.
Well, like a real thing, like human?
No, I mean like a real... He has no actual training to support his leadership of whatever it is that Palantir does.
I mean, he's led them to a pretty
I think
steep
what
price,
he had was a
so.
katana.
I put the photo in the chat.
Oh, you found it.
Yeah,
Okay.
instantly.
See what's going on here. Oh, man, Mall Ninja. Look at this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cut some
Wait.
water bottles with that thing?
Which chat? I'm like 80 years old.
Discord.
The general chat.
Oh, general.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. This is like mid-interview. This is like while he's being interviewed for something.
He just whips out a sword.
Yeah, just starts jabbing the air with it and being like, "Ooh, get a good angle," like while he's videotaping himself jabbing it in the air. But I think it's a katana. It's hard to tell from this angle, but he seems like a mall ninja.
You know?
Alex Karp's also known for saying, actually, honestly, guns would be much better regulated if you had someone who knows guns. He said, I'm not a hunter. I'm an artist with a gun.
Oh.
You know what, Gherk? So here's the thing. If
I thought the way to
person
regulate
could-
guns was just to...
We're going to cut
Yeah,
that.
we'll cut that.
We finally have something to
Yes.
Well,
I
look.
did it.
Well, look.
okay,
If
but Palantir. Okay, enough with the saber or whatever. Michael Burry famously came out and basically took his ball and went home.
I'm curious as to what actually happened with Burry.
Me too.
Because before he shut down Scion Asset Management, he had a large number of puts on a bunch of things that went down real hard.
Yeah.
And quickly, and he had puts with a lot of theta. So I think maybe Burry just made a bunch of money and he was like, I can't read the market anymore. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's definitely something because, I mean, everybody... The thing that like blows my mind is how people can't get it through their heads that these forms that are filed are old by the time you see them. So like he already had those. He didn't just enter them now, right? He had them and he killed it.
Yeah. I think what he probably realized was that doing this with investor money probably a lot more hard to do, especially with having to file 13Fs and shit. He may as well just, if he wants to get rich, he should just do it himself.
Yeah, I
Because
think, isn't he already rich? I don't know.
yeah, but he probably wants to get more rich, and the way you would do it is by doing it yourself, or he's just done and he wants to go live on a farm and grow corn or something.
Yeah, I think
He did buy a bunch of water rights.
Well, I think like people love to say that he's always early and he's a terrible trader, but he actually has well outperformed the S&P and most things.
Everything?
Yeah, he's done fantastic, even though he's a big bear. So he's
anybody who's ever looked at like him back in the forum days when he would just post online, like his investment theses for like value stocks, knows that he doesn't lose often, if like ever.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like somebody that tolerates losing. It's just like that one time with The Big Short where he was sitting on that position for a really long time, but he also knew the outcome, which was part of the conviction, right? He knew the outcome.
Yeah.
So you should talk into the tip of the mic. Okay, I'm not saying the rest of that. I am talking into the tip of the mic. Is it
I
not
know.
tipped
I'm just
right?
pointing.
Touch
You're
your
right.
lips to the tip.
Touch my lips
to tip.
to the tip.
Oh,
Lips
yeah.
to tip. Lips to the tip.
This is going to be the worst episode we've ever recorded. I can already tell.
Yeah, no, so Burry, I think Burry was right. He made money and he's just out because I think I think the spotlight, I can imagine it's really frustrating for him to have the spotlight on him where people are just purely skeptical of him, talking nothing but trash. He can't actually and he sees the same shit that I think we all see at this point. But when he comes out and it's like J-Pow, right? I can imagine how frustrating it is for J-Pow for the same reason, right? Because he's been turned into a meme. And so
at the same time, though,
J-Pow
is almost, not to cut you off, but I feel very strongly about this. J-Pow is almost like an anti-Burry. Burry actually makes informed trades on good data.
The problem with Burry
and
is
J-Pow is just vibe memeing the economy.
The problem with Burry, and this has been the problem with him always, is that his Asperger's prevents him from understanding how timelines work, and that market participants are capable of preventing themselves from failing the second he notices. And so what happens is he forms a thesis that's usually correct. He immediately bets on that thesis, like the same day. And then he has to wait 7 months for everyone else to catch up.
Yeah, that's how I Burry. Can I call
we
myself
did this,
the Burry of AI?
We did this back in 2003, 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did this in 2020, 2022. I mean, yeah, it's just the market. But we do have some understanding that the market takes time to realize all of this stuff.
Well,
yeah,
the market takes
it
doesn't go down unless there's no liquidity.
Well,
That's the thing about the market.
I mean, everybody wants it to stay up, and so they jump through hoops. But I don't remember, life is all stringing together into a stream of thought. Did we talk about the rising bond rates on AI Kappa AI bonds last week?
Well, the CDS rates are fucking through the roof now.
Yeah, they just keep climbing. I've been going off on my Twitter about it quite a bit.
Yeah, well, okay, so
the darling of Microsoft, CoreWeave's CDS is pricing in, what was it? Like a default?
Oh, yeah, it's like a default rate of like 41% or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
That's because CoreWeave's revenues to date are like 99% debt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, their debt is still greater than their revenues. Yeah. But yeah, so the
and just to be clear, a CDS is a credit default swap. And the way that it works is it only pays out if the debt goes into default, and it's basically an insurance contract against a bond. So that's what a CDS is for our less informed viewers out there, you basically, if you,
They
it's
tend
kind
to
of
have
like,
extremely high payouts because bond defaults are very rare.
yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like,
And
it's not the same, but it's kind of like if you buy a put on a stock that you own, because if it goes down a lot, you still want to be able to get out without realizing a whole bunch of loss.
Yeah, and
So
it's
it's a
related
hedge.
to the interest rate on the bonds on the market. So, um, as the interest rate on that bond goes up, the CDS is going to go up, and it kind of the CDS kind of gives you that, like, what's the probability that it's going to go under? So
you
that's
can
fun.
also use the CDS market to artificially leverage up the rates of bonds.
Well, yeah, but
Mm.
the downside of a CDS is it's kind of like an inverse bond. You generally have to pay your counterparty while you have it, so that's why you don't really want a bunch of CDS, because they eat into your yield. And that's the premium on the CDS. So just to give you an idea, it's kind of like, it's basically a bond version of a put
So I
in
want
a
to
way.
ask you this, because I have my own feeling, and I haven't really pinged you guys about your thoughts yet. With the rates on these bonds going up, basically people really worried that these bonds are ever going to get paid back. Is this the market telling Samuel J. Altman no? I actually don't know what his middle initial is.
I think they're saying I don't know, not no, but like the no is in the don't know, but it's I don't know, not no. They're kind of going, I don't know.
So still a little early.
It's still a little early, but I mean, well, the fact that the CDS spreads have been blowing up like they have, I think I think that may be a sentiment thing as much as it is like an actual, like, you know, structural problem that people are seeing who actually own these bonds. Um, but there could be something to it. Yeah, like, so CoreWeave, like you were saying, it is insanely leveraged. So yeah, the more these people who are financing this debt, especially with the obligations that these guys need to
The
take
people
in order
financing
to
this
build
debt
out
are
the AI.
mostly Nvidia.
Well, it's Nvidia, but it's also like it's also your private equity firms and all that. Like, all those guys are going to be looking at those books and trying to figure out, how much do we actually need to hedge this shit? And when they figure it out, they hedge it. And so, there could be some of that, but it could also be speculators just seeing the speculative AI as a bubble hype going on
Well,
and
okay,
just trying
but
to jump in.
so
Well, you have people that are, I mean, they're going long CDS, right? Which is like they're short the bond, long the default put,
Yeah.
right? And then you have people who are short CDS who are long the credit. And so, if there's no credit event, anybody, short the CDS wins because they keep the spread.
Yeah.
And then anybody, if there is a credit event, then the long CDS wins.
Yeah. That's the zero sum game of it.
okay, but isn't this
Yeah.
sort of the market saying, like, hey, we don't know how much more appetite we have for more of this debt?
Sure.
Yeah, it is. Well,
Yeah.
it's also saying that it can also be saying like, we're not willing to take on this debt at this rate. Like, we don't think that the yield we're receiving is sufficient for the risk we're carrying, which is where you get somebody who's, like long the credit.
Hmm.
So do you think that this will have a meaningful impact on the projected spend timelines that these hyperscalers have based on how the market's already reacting?
I mean, maybe. And the thing is we already know that those projected spend rates are kind of like pie in the sky because of how much just capital it is. It's an insane amount of capital, and trying to drum all that up. I mean, we could already see the issues with, what was a SoftBank that's going to do a huge loan for OpenAI.
Yeah, they just sold a bunch of their Nvidia, I think, to help fund the
Yeah,
loan because they can't
they're
get They can't get people to
They're
give them
trying to
more
like dig
money.
under the couch to like grab the coins. Like, oh, there's $1 here. You
They're
know? They
literally
can't get the money for it.
they're literally guillotining the golden goose and spitting down
Yeah,
its
like
throat.
yeah. So where's the money going to come from? I think these timelines are just way too accelerated, just purely from a capital standpoint. So I mean, the CDS rates may actually be reflecting that a little bit in a way, I guess.
Another fun thing that I wanted to drop here because somebody from Wall Street shared this with me this week. Apparently, there was something that came out. I can't remember where it was. I guess apparently because energy and power, like electrical power, is so hard to get a hold of, especially for these large projects. All of these companies that want to build data centers, they go to the utility company and they say, "Hey, I want to, put me in line and, give me a spot for whenever you have some availability so that I can build my data center." But they're all going to like all the utilities everywhere and they're just getting in all the lines because they don't know who's going to have space first and they're just like, I want to build. So if you're just looking at if you go to the utility companies, it looks like, oh, there's a ton of demand. Everybody's lines are full. But what's actually happening is it costs nothing to wait in line. So everybody's just waiting in line kind of thing.
It's almost like Indeed job openings.
Kind of. Yeah.
Just cast a wide net. When someone shows up, sure, maybe hire them. I don't know.
Well, that's a great segue from talking about AI spend and talking about Indeed job openings and other data that you might use to try to get a sense of what the economy looks like now that the shutdown is over. And I think we can say that I've unofficially won the stupid bet. We can return to that and fight about it later. But now that the shutdown is over, who won? What can we expect in the future? And where's my fucking data?
I mean, I will say that the feeling that most people have on the left is that, the Democrats, did what they do best and snatched defeat right out of the jaws of victory.
Yeah, the Republicans won. The Democrats are fucked. Whoever voted in
but-
favor in the Senate's a piece of shit. Yeah.
But in reality,
don't
I
show your
think,
bias too hard there, Dork. We don't want to.
I mean, Dork's not wrong. They definitely, tucked their equipment between their legs and ran away. But people were starving.
You can't.
I mean, yeah.
tuck a
The thing is
buzzy.
when you're one of these senators and you're like, all these government employees aren't getting paychecks. Like that's a tough. And they say, oh, we were all in favor and all this stuff. It's like that's a tough pill to swallow and actually because these government workers are not getting paid. Like that's
Well, it wasn't
real,
just that, right?
you know?
It was like, the Republicans basically put their foot down and they were like, we're going to take your health care away. And if you don't let us, we're going to take your food away too. And so that was a pretty strong negotiating tool. And the Democrats didn't really have anything to push back against that with. I know some Democratic states tried to supplement SNAP benefits. And, they tried to block that via the Supreme Court. So they were like, nope, you guys can't pay them either. Nobody gives them food until we win, which definitely put the Democrats in a tighter position as far as negotiations were concerned. And then, so ultimately they gave up. They chickened out. They lost. They got nothing. We're right back. We're right back where we were before the shutdown, with no ground gained. So it was a waste of fucking time. However, it just approves a continuation of appropriations, and they can do it all again in January, which arguably is a better time for them to make a stand if they want to, because when the appropriations run out again and we have to vote to extend, SNAP benefits will be in place for an entire year, so nobody will starve during the shutdown.
Yeah, that's right. So that's a
they'll be
piece
on-
you missed. Let me just jump in real quick. So they have 3 continuing resolutions for the full year. One is Department of Agriculture, which includes SNAP. What were the other 2? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Not healthcare. But they promised a vote.
No.
Yeah, they're gonna have a vote.
Which they already backtracked on that.
But anyway, probably like service members and maybe like aviation, like, all the things that were pain points. Now they're like, okay, let's vote to take all that off the table for when we fight this again in January. So yeah, I don't know. I
so
think
we'll see what happens the next time around, but we're probably going to get another shutdown in a few months.
It's very
possible.
everyone's
prepared for that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was listening a little bit to Tim Kaine was one of the Dirty 8 or I'm trying to think of a negative word that starts with E.
What about
emasculated?
The Evil 8.
Evil?
Thank you, Ron. That you've recovered from actually looking up Sam Altman's middle initial, which I'm not going to repeat because it's L. I'm just right. Okay, so yeah, I was listening to Tim Kaine, and he was just like, oh well, the elections were going on in Virginia, and I wasn't really paying attention to the details of the shutdown. But now that I've like fully paid attention to it, I was like, oh, we need to end this. And so I voted to end it. And it's just like, are you kidding? Like that's not a very satisfying answer.
Well, so JFresh, I have a question, okay? And like I don't know, but if you were a federal employee, let's say you're a TSA agent, okay? And you're working keeping America safe by doing your security theater at the airports, right? By scanning everyone's junk. And you weren't getting
It's
paid.
not rape if it's the back of the hand, Dork. The back of the hand is okay.
So you're groping people with the back of your hand, right?
It's not
you're
groping.
Really on the balls, right, to make sure there's no bombs in there. So
it's physical
but if you're
interrogation.
That person but if you're not getting paid, okay, are you thinking to yourself, yeah, use me not getting paid as a bargaining chip for funding certain parts of the government? Do you think government employees were actually thinking to themselves, this is exactly what I want? I'm not so sure.
Maybe those government employees should vote for people that self-fund government programs.
They usually do, Gherk.
Packing everything into
I'm sure they don't have time to vote.
Funny you should mention that, Gherk. They usually do.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay.
No,
okay, so Shutdown 2.0 possibly coming. Let's move on to the other big news from government, stimmy checks. How bad are things under the covers?
I'm still confused as to how the stimmy check works. So
I don't think they're happening. They're not happening.
It's a tariff rebate, but it's also like triple the amount of money that we've received so far from tariffs. So it's technically a tariff debit.
It's not
against
happening.
Future tariffs charged. Wait, hold on. Hold on. I'm not done. It's also got another use case, which is apparently this is also Trump's plan for medical care.
Give people $2,000.
That's not going to cover.
That's like not even 1 month for a family.
That's like one diabetic toenail trimming.
Yeah, sweet. You got 7% off your 100% increase in healthcare costs. Yeah, this is weird.
It's funny because it's probably
more than
not
100% for most
before
people.
Yeah, I know.
Before all the discounts and in plan and all that nonsense, I bet you there is a medical facility out there somewhere that is charging north of $2,000 for a diabetic toenail trimming.
I have a friend
and it's worth every
who went
penny.
to school for podiatry, and that's exactly what he does all day, every day. He just sits in the South trimming toenails.
What does he do with all the toenails?
Probably keeps them. Sick fuck.
Yeah.
You reconstitute them into glue. So yeah, the stimmy checks aren't happening. They're not happening.
I mean, they need congressional approval.
There's no approval. There's nothing. No one knows what's happening.
If that actually goes through, we're in a recession and we just need to give everybody money.
All right, so it's pretty clear that Trump and Besson, who are fighting it out for the little guy on Main Street, are so betwixt between Wall Street's butthole and Wall Street's vagina that they need to pump the market every day. They can't let it go down even a little bit. That's obviously kind of what these stimmy checks, just like the last string of things of the last few months, just to kind of keep the inflatable ball, in the air. What are they
You know
going
where
to
those
taco
stimmy checks are
next?
going,
And
right?
can they
'Cause
taco enough going forward?
no. Well, yeah, they
What
can,
I'm
but they
asking
won't.
is, what I'm asking is this a new regime in terms of trading? Have we entered in a new paradigm?
Well, but because of $2,000 stimmy checks and
Just
and
no,
uh
just because it doesn't seem to be working as well as it used to be. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
oh. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, you're beautiful, which you should make one of these so we can put it in as a graphic in this point. But the beautiful Little Mermaid chart, I think, is still what you're using it as.
It's
Um,
currently the Lion King.
the Lion King chart, I think that beautifully illustrates why we're entering into a new regime because there was all this money that was pumped into the world in 2020 and 2021 that is just finally starting to settle out in like some I don't want to say fixed but less dynamic, places. We have people like, yep, all my things in equities are in equities, all my real estate's in real estate. We're where we're at and here we are. I think that that's the regime now is everyone's just kind of like the office meme where everyone's pointing the finger guns at each other. It's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, so, one thing that I've been looking at is Bitcoin's been doing a big sad for a while, and it seems like it's sort of leading a little bit as an indicator for the appetite of retail and other folks to stay levered.
Yeah, speaking of which, I need to get another home equity line of
Ooh.
credit to buy more Bitcoin.
So
Hmm.
so Gherk, what do you think? Do you think we've entered into a
About
new trading regime, or is it just a little blip on a longer, more of the same timeline?
wait, didn't they just start? I mean, they're pulling back the tariffs because they can't admit that they're causing prices to go up and driving us deeper into a recession that we've been in for some time. Our entire economy is supported on the back of a completely debt fueled AI infrastructure build out. And that's like, 80% of our GDP. And now they're trying to give us free money that no one's approved, which is likely to come in the form of a tax cut, maybe. So it's really great for people who don't pay taxes because they're too poor. I don't know. It seems like a failure. They just can't admit that it was a failure.
Well, of course. I mean, we always knew that the tariffs were not going to be received by the public with just absolute glee and happiness once it actually hit their pocketbook. And I think that that was the whole idea, right? Was roll out just shock and awe with the tariffs. And that was the very first thing he did on Liberation Day was the shock and awe with massive tariffs. Market just crashed, and he went ahead and said, "Let's pull it back." And now he's like, "Okay, we're settling in. Now let's pull it back a little more. Let's pull it back a little more to just try to make it sort of like a more positive kind of like tail end to it, and to try to make it seem like we've done all these great things." So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they came out today with some agricultural fantasy about illegal immigrants bringing diseased beef into the U.S. is driving up our beef prices.
I hadn't heard that one. I'm gonna say that sounds like bullshit, but I don't know.
It does. I mean, there is an increase in screwworm in well, like Texas, I think, and that's because it's hotter there now, and you know, global warming. that scientifically proven phenomena that's completely caused by humans.
We've relabeled it as climate change, but yes.
You
Sure.
okay, between like my inappropriate comments earlier and then Dork being extremely politically biased and now you claiming global warming is real.
Okay.
The Venn diagram
let-
of listeners that are still left is basically zero.
Well, let's dial it back a little bit. I'm actually not as biased as you think, JFresh. I
understand
think that I'm on
that.
the side of the government employees and them eating food.
But nobody is going to go back and the average listener is not going to learn who you are.
They already hit the stop button. They're like, fuck these guys.
Over the course of 4 years. I need to know. I need to spend 4 years with this person to really get a sense of what the political nuance. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So what I'm trying to get at, and I'm just going to be more explicit now in terms of talking about a new regime for the market. Definitely the tacos don't hit like they used to. It doesn't feel like the first time anymore. And I pulled up this chart from GammaStrike .com. The SPXW.
No, I can see all your bookmarks.
Yeah, we'll edit those out. The SPXW.
What's with all the porn?
Guys.
Wow, you've got some serious kinks, man.
What the fuck is
no
that?
shame. No shame.
Yes, my serious kinks. Volstars PDF. Google Docs, futures, TradingView on Bitcoin.
Hey, listen, man, you don't need to. I didn't know sharing them was also your kink.
Hey, just letting people know.
Don't drag us into it.
That there's 10 more that I was uncomfortable sharing, and they're totally worse. Okay. So GammaStrike.com, IV chart for SPXW. That's a rounded bottom breakout if I've ever seen one on IV. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm liking the way that looks.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of, and these are this is historical vol too. This isn't just.
Now, if you can just change all of those to skew,
well,
I'd like to see it diving across all tenors.
Skew's a funny beast.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Looks like people are only really bearish on like the
JFresh, I will say this. I will say this. If you zoom out a bunch, right, and look back to, around 2017, because, we have this.
Oh, yeah. You trying to show all of our data. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
we actually have it into 2015.
Zoom in a little more so you can actually see stuff.
Okay.
But like, yeah, like you could see that this is looking like an uptrend, right? Just based on like kind of like 2022.
A slow build up and volatility. You know, like I said, what would happen if we had no data? We would have to price up options in order to manifest the risk and options pricing.
Yeah,
that's
and
what
realize,
we've done. That's what we've literally done that since the moment I said it.
But
now we're going to start getting that data, and if that data is worse than what was expected, vol's going to go way up.
Okay. Interestingly enough, historic volatility has kind of followed.
Better than expected, we should start to see things cool off a bit.
All right. Yeah. So that leads me to the third part of my multi-part question I asked before. Where's my fucking data? When do we get the data? When does it start actually flowing again?
Once the vote passes and the money starts flowing. We got to get this through the House, and then
when does that
the money
happen?
Starts flowing.
I haven't looked. Where's my data?
I don't know.
I need to know
Trademark?
if
I think most of the agencies will probably have a schedule.
We've already got talk that the October data is cooked.
Yeah, they say they're never going to release it, and I'm like, why? Just release it. Who cares? Why do you care so much about October?
Well, I think probably for the same reason that Trump doesn't want to release the Epstein files. Now we have
that's happening on Tuesday too, by the way. Which
we're missing September jobs reports, right? We're missing September wholesale pricing and September retail sales. We're
Nobody cares about
October jobs and October inflation, and then we need the November reports, ideally in a timely fashion.
Nobody cares about retail sales because everybody knows that the top 10% account for most of the GDP. So who gives a shit about what retail's doing?
Yeah.
Just want to put
All
that out
right.
there.
Anything else you guys want to say? Last words on the market, current state of the market.
Yeah,
Interesting. I'll put
I
it that
mean,
way.
I think we're now facing a big wall of potential volatility with the data slowly starting to trickle out because no one knows how to price for it. We missed too much for private data to have carried us through. And there could be shocks. Even if there aren't, the potential for shocks will need to continue to be priced in for the next couple of weeks.
I'm gonna put one chart in our chat really quick too, just to put it into perspective. Since the government shutdown has been averted by the Senate, the SPXW has pretty much at the end of the week closed right at delta neutral. I'm not saying here nor there about it, but that is interesting to note that we
It
are now
is.
at delta neutral. So I think we are at that inflection point where, yeah, shutdown, if it's over, everything like that, I think we can get back to bullishness if the ACA tax credits are put back in some capacity. If the ACA tax credits, when those are voted on, are not put back, I think we're going to continue to trade a little bit around DN. But
No,
like,
we're not even getting a vote on the tax credits.
no, but we should probably trade around DN. I'm thinking for a while just because of that tax credit thing, but I don't know.
I don't know that I hate
Mhm.
that. I mean, I think kind of, this idea that I've been mulling about, if we are kind of entering a slightly different trading environment, I think the buy the dip pumperoonies are going to be less effective. How much less effective? I don't know. Um,
Well, Tom Lee said SPX 7,500 end of year,
that just
7,000 end
shows
of month.
how over leveraged Tom Lee is.
Yeah, I think he may have even levered up more on that statement. Like
Let
that
me
was
just say
part of the
this.
statement.
I love Tom Lee for all of his optimism, okay? He is always able to see the bright side, even when the dark side is lurking right there.
Yeah, you're going to love him a lot less when he starts begging to be bailed out for his
He won't get, no,
very
he's not going to be begging for that. He's just going to close his fund.
He's not big enough to get bailed out.
Yeah, he's just out of here.
poor
He's going to
guy.
stop showing up on CNBC.
He's no Sam Altman. Which, by
Right.
the
Yeah.
way, it did rekindle my love for humanity, my hope in humanity. The viscerally negative and
Are you mean Sam H. Altman?
yes, Sam L Altman.
H. It's an H.
How dare you? How dare you
God
expose
damn it.
me for the fraud that I am?
Harris. Wait, I actually do have one comment on the market that I think is probably important and maybe something we should discuss. Do we or do we not think that Bill Clinton gave Trump his first taste of the presidency?
There goes the rest of our viewers.
The three we had
Yeah, they're gone.
are now gone.
No. On a serious note, though, the Epstein files and their release or lack of release, and the
Okay.
chaos they are sowing within the majority party currently are I think in fact a market risk.
They are.
Yeah.
This feels very much like a Nixon Watergate kind of moment. Like this could all spill over into something really, really nasty, really fast.
I feel like this
And
is way, way worse than whatever. I mean, you go back and look at Nixon,
no,
you're just
yeah.
like, why did we even get rid of him? Like, that's just like normal.
I mean, yeah. So there's, I've been,
this is, I mean, the accusations being levered here are way worse. But back then we also used to put criminals in jail. So
Gross.
and we don't do that anymore.
We're enlightened now.
So It's a different era.
We gave
But
the liberal woke mob exactly what they wanted. We got rid of jails. What else do they want from
something
us?
that a strong majority party and strong majority leadership offer the financial world is a perceived sense of stability, right? So you have an economic plan, and you know that economic plan is going to be executed without interruption, and so you can bet on that economic plan, right? And if there is a disruption, something that would break that party, or fracture it in any way, now all of a sudden the future of economic policy is becoming more uncertain.
Well, yeah,
And
that's my thing when I think about this is like, okay, so whether or not anything bad happened, I think is going to be huge. Like, if there are implications that do involve the president and he ends up with some massive ouster because he turns out to be a creep, then that's super destabilizing for US leadership, right? Which is going to
yep.
increase volatility. If it turns out to be a nothing burger, then I think that's super fucking bullish. So,
Well,
like,
it's
not
actually
only does
also
it
bullish if something happens because JD Vance is a Silicon Valley darling that was planted
that's
by
true.
Silicon
I
Valley,
forgot about that. Yes, you're right.
who becomes the
But
president.
volatility's
So
still going to go
basically,
up.
Peter Thiel will become the president. Behind the scenes.
Wasn't he already?
I think you're thinking of the Antichrist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, that would be you because you're the AI critic.
Oh. Moving on. All right. Let's go through let's go through earnings this week. I know there's one earnings we all have in mind, Lowe's. But let's talk about a few of them.
Home Depot, bro.
Yeah. It shows my bias. The Lowe's is a lot closer to me than Home Depot, but Home Depot has more like legit hardware. Anyway,
I think it's Dolby that everyone cares about.
so Klarna might be an interesting one. Do we think Klarna would be
Yes, that'll
interesting?
be interesting. Yeah, that'll be good.
With all the auto loan delinquencies and things, maybe Klarna shows some weakness. That could be.
Oh, you think people that are financing their groceries or paying their bills, not paying their bills? That seems like a AAA tranche to me.
It's all
Look, when I
AAA.
collateralize my car loan with my burrito, okay, it's a very sophisticated financial transaction I'm going through. Okay,
Well,
this burrito
that's
is
Tuesday
being
before
leveraged
the
into a
open.
$70,000 car.
So
Yeah.
Tuesday morning, I think Klarna will be one that people are looking at. We do have Home Depot, Lowe's, a lot of retail stuff, Target,
I expect none of that to be
TJX,
doing well.
Williams Sonoma. Who else do we have that's retail? Shoe Carnival, Walmart. We got a lot.
Weeble.
Gap. Yeah, Weeble. Ross, Dress for Less. Yeah, Weeble is actually.
I mean,
just
hold
retail.
on. I'm looking at this chart and I'm not seeing any of these names you're mentioning. I just see
You see one and it's green. Is it green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the only earnings I see is Nvidia.
Well, I'm saving the one that we're gonna probably talk about. Yeah.
Palo Alto Networks at the same time too, so that's going to be interesting.
My brain couldn't even see it. It's too close to the green Nvidia. But you're right. Palo Alto is a good one. There was one. There's too many on this list. I can't find it anymore. There was one that I was interested in for AI, and I don't see it. So let's talk about Nvidia.
CoreWeave?
No, CoreWeave already
No.
CoreWeave already happened, didn't they?
No, Palo
they
Alto
were still
Networks is tangentially related, and
yeah, they do security though, right?
Yeah.
They're more cybersecurity.
They're more of like a
wait,
Palantir,
is
somewhere in between Palantir and a real company. I don't know.
They're real.
is CrowdStrike reporting this week, or is that next week? CrowdStrike's usually packed in there with Palo Alto somewhere.
I don't
Yeah, I
see
don't see
him.
it.
All
All right, Nvidia. Obviously, we got to talk. What do we
Up.
think?
Nvidia is going to be my stupid bet this week. So
up.
Ooh, so we want to just
They're
save
gonna
it,
do good.
completely save it.
Their
Yep.
shovel sales are through the roof.
Yes, they are still. I feel like as long as Nvidia is pumping investment dollars into their buyers to buy their chips from them,
Yeah, that's about it. That's all it
it's
takes
probably an
for them.
indication that Jensen feels that he can continue the same bullshit. You will notice that one of the things that helped us rebound when the market was really starting to drop last week was Jensen did a little impromptu forward guidance and said that he expects Blackwell and Rubin, which is the thing after Blackwell, to earn the company over the next few years. I don't even remember what the exact timeline was, about $500 billion, which caused Nvidia to go up $10 and save the market from its plummeting demise.
It's amazing how the news only, like, all the best news comes out when the market's going down.
Oh yeah. But they really
Isn't
did.
it?
I mean, last week they did a whole. I feel like they were flooding the zone, right? I think we talked about that. That they were
Yeah.
intentionally just packing the media with all sorts of bullish things of like, here's how much money we're going to spend, right? And now everybody's kind of like, how are you going to spend all this money you don't have? But yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting to see
Yeah, the
that Jensen
CDS
Huang.
market says that money might not be there.
Jensen Huang was still able to, cause that dip buy that was enough to do something. We didn't, we're still in the hole a little bit. But I expect, the dip buyers are going to keep buying a lot of dips, right? They're going to have to get burned a few times before they start feeling more apprehensive, I think. So yeah, we'll see. But if you want to save it for your bet, we can talk about that in a little bit more detail going forward because I imagine we'll get there soon. I'm seeing a bunch of, we've got the calendar of data. I don't trust it. I'm assuming that none of this is coming out.
Give it 2. Yeah, I think give it 2-3 weeks before anything actually starts. If the shutdown is ended by Congress, then probably a week after that, I'm guessing everything's going to be back up to normal.
We've got a bunch of surveys. We've got a bunch of housing data. Unemployment for September, which who knows? Didn't they say they're not going to publish it? I don't even really know. Otherwise,
yeah, we'll see.
Some PMI data from S&P. So still kind of more of the same. I think a starved week for solid data.
Yep.
All right. Ron actually put this in because he's the worst person. If he's the one putting
Fucking
actual
goddamn it,
advertising,
dude.
it's just like, hey, this
Shill.
show is
He's a
great.
shill.
Hopefully there's not any advertisements to ruin the experience. Ron has put this in for you, so play it, asshole.
Fall
Fucking
Stars is a
get
GammaStrike
over it.
podcast. At GammaStrike, we work to present options data and market maker positioning in easy to understand and actionable formats to inform your trading decisions. Learn more at GammaStrike.com.
All right, Dork, do the plug.
Oh my god. Okay. So we answer audience questions. Feel free to ask your questions. We got links in the description of whichever streaming platform you're using to listen to or watch this right now. Feel free to pop in there, ask a question. If it's good, if it's entertaining, we will entertain it. Feel free to do it. So I guess I may as well hit this off with the first question. What animates JFresh's mouth in the video? And why does JFresh trust his animator so much?
That would be the muscles around my
Brussels?
anal sphincter.
Yes, JFresh
Yeah.
talks out his ass. That's why we can't put him on camera.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even know I had an animated mouth. I don't
This
listen to these
overwhelming sense
afterwards.
of tiredness after listening to Ron's ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know what?
Ron's
You know
ad
what I
definitely took it
don't
out
want
of
to
me.
do at all. You know what I have zero desire to do.
Shake that.
Go to
up.
GammaStrike.com.
What was that? There was a website in there?
No.
Thanks for the short GammaStrike.
No, I didn't even know I didn't even know I was animated. I don't watch them afterwards. I just assume that they are destroyed immediately after I hang up the phone.
Felt like
pretty
I
much.
just attended a Deepak Chopra rally.
Nice.
I don't even know what that means.
Me either.
Nobody does. But it's provocative.
Wait, does
All
my
right,
mouth
next question,
hold on,
JFresh.
hold on. Does my mouth animation look
God.
nice?
I think it looks perfect, JFresh.
Looks real soft.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to watch
Me and
it.
Dork play around with the.
Okay, next question. Great. Even better. Even better question. Are Labubus a bigger bubble than AI? And do they maybe serve as a better indicator of market peak? Not a bigger bubble than AI. And I can already tell you that the Labubu market has already peaked because my wife has talked about such phrases as below market rate on various.
Is she
Oh,
buying
is
the
it no
dip?
longer? Is it no longer a seller's market for Labubus?
It is.
What about Pokemon cards?
I don't know, but so with the Labubus, the time from which you are able to get a new one versus when the Labubus go on resale for less than the original MSRP is getting much shorter. So Labubus are, I think Labubus are peaking. Is it a better
see.
indicator than AI? I don't know. I mean,
I guess it's a similar one.
you know, do the bonds that these companies are selling, do they, I mean, they're all going below market, right? Or so they're kind of the same thing, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think they're too I don't think they're too different from each other. Labubu versus anime Goonerbait waifu chatbot. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Is anybody, what's going on with XAI? I know have they destroyed the city of Memphis yet?
Did that take a lot of work?
Well,
I was like, doesn't take a ton to get Memphis even worse than it is.
did they?
I've
I
never
guess
been
what
to
I'm.
Memphis.
I guess
It's
what I'm
insane.
asking. You know what? My grandmother lived in Memphis and was buried in Memphis, and I got a speeding ticket driving to Memphis to her funeral a few years ago. That's the only time I've ever been to Memphis, and yeah, I think you're right. It's a shithole. Anyway, I guess my question is, has XAI actually gotten permits for all of their natural gas generators that they're running, spewing hydrocarbons into the air in Memphis? Probably not. Anyway,
I don't see why Memphis would hesitate on that. I feel like they would be like, "Yep, you know what? That sounds like something that's par for the course. Let's do it."
yeah, we're going to have to get somebody to do some aerial drone video taking of XAI's campus in Memphis. That'll be our next episode. Ron. Oh, we
Get
can
the
send
satellites
Dan.
going.
No, we can get a drone. We can send Dan to Memphis, and we can get the drone to fly around and get some shots of.
Can we get Dan to just like hang out on top of the exhaust like holes and just inhale it for long enough that he starts getting medical conditions so we can anticipate what's going to happen in the surrounding area?
Oh, we could send Dan to get high off of off the
Yeah,
exhaust.
just breathe the hydrocarbons until he gets whatever cancer or whatever, and then we're like, okay, now we know which treatment companies are going to be bullish in the next 5 to 10 years.
Ooh, that's even an extra layer that I wasn't thinking of. All right, let's move on. This is getting weird. What's the likelihood of a Japanese rate hike? 10-year.
I feel like it's pretty slim.
Should we pull up the
personally
10-year?
because
I would actually have quite a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, let me just really can I just really quickly give my layman perspective just because I'm an idiot. I think it's unlikely only because their last GDP print was pretty crappy. That's it for me. That's my perspective on it.
So, I mean, I assumed at the last meeting the chance for a hike was a little bit higher, but due to the shift in political party once again and new prime minister, the BOJ would conservatively hold off. But even with that, I think there were two dissents, both of which wanted a 25-point increase. I believe it was Tamura and Takata. Um, So I would say that given that there were two dissents on the board, it's very likely that it underscores that a hike is very much on the table for this coming meeting. Um, Swaps, I think, are implying like a 50% probability of a 25 bip hike at the December meeting. And I think Reuters was showing like 46% chance of a hike by Jan. Um, so generally speaking, we get some sort of information out of the Bank of Japan ahead of an announcement via Nikkei, where it's usually leaked that they will be raising rates because they tend to do that to offset FX volatility going into the meeting itself. So that you don't get hit with that like crazy FX volatility overnight. Um, and so we'll probably see something if there is going to be one, but they have kind of hiked by surprise before, back in August of 2024, if you guys remember.
Oh
Like
yeah, I remember.
no one saw it coming, and it popped up anyway. I think at the time, like, chances of a hike were like 20%, and they hiked and
I would just like to
freaked everyone
say,
out.
because of what a terrible trader I am, that day I turned $260 of terrible out of the money 0DD puts on the SPXW into about 9 grand. That was a fun day.
Yeah,
So
Thanks,
yeah, that
and
was
Japan.
a
just
great day.
so really quickly too for our viewers who
We
may
all
not,
had a lot of puts.
it was interesting. So for our viewers that may not know, right, why all this interest in Japanese rates, right? I think that's a good question to ask. And who better to explain this than, I guess, Gherk or any of us really can, about the whole idea behind, why do Japanese rates matter so much? Which they do, but why?
Well, because a lot due to the ample amount of banking infrastructure in Japan, and their substantially lower rates than the United States. Many U.S. banks will opt to borrow money in Japan to lend in the U.S. And colloquially, this is referred to as the carry trade. And basically, what they're doing is they're arbitraging the rate between Japan, very low, and the US, moderately high now after rate cuts, not as high as it was back in 2022, 2023, but still significantly higher than Japan, who's at, an effective funds rate of, 0.5% versus the US at, 3.8-ish right now. And so still a lot of arb there, still a lot of leverage in that trade. They short the yen, they long the dollar, and they leverage this trade a lot. And this trade, if you go way back in my Twitter, I started talking about this a lot back in like 2022, early 2023, because the trade was massively over leveraged. All of these banks with this duration risk were trying to extract as much yield as they feasibly could from the carry trade, and it was extremely leveraged at the time. And over time, Bank of Japan has kept rates fairly flat. The U.S. has stair stepped down a little bit. Um, but Bank of Japan did move to positive rates. They are trying to push for normalization in their monetary policy. And when that trade collapses or closes, there's not a lot of other avenues with which to carry that kind of capital. I mean, you have Australia, you have Switzerland. There's a few venues, but none of them can manage just the sheer enormity of the trade as well as Japan. And again, because of Japan's robust banking infrastructure, and this has knock-on effects all over the place in
Mortgage
equities.
rates.
in mortgage rates. It has realized effects in FX markets. Obviously, it increases the demand for gold because it creates a substantial contagion risk within U.S. dollar trades. And it's been a big risk for for a long time. It's very likely that it's a significant portion of the defaults that occurred back in 2008 were attributable directly to a failure of the carry trade and the spread between Japan and the US, and the US had to collapse rates. And that trade happened to be over levered at the time. I will say things have normalized a bit from where they were 2 years ago, but the trade is still very heavily leveraged. And so, because of all of that leverage in that system and the effect that it has on the velocity of the money supply, um, a rate hike out of Japan is very equivalent to a rate cut from the Federal Reserve, because any movement on either side of that spread narrows that spread, and thus less leverage is able to be contained there. If there is risk, it's realized, and margin requirements go up. And if margin requirements aren't met, that can lead to liquidations, especially if things are leveraged beyond the capacity of the institutions to handle it. And so, with all of that risk still very present in the carry trade, um, Japan hikes are very almost as important as U.S. cuts. I would say they're not 1-to-1 anymore. They probably were back in 2024, back in the August of 2024, when we saw Japan hike to a positive rate, cut off some of their bond buying, and the U.S. equities freaked out, and everyone remembers that. And all the banks came out and they were like, "Oh, we're out of the trade." They're not, because nobody's going to turn down free money just because there was a little risk. And obviously they've levered it back up since then because, again, free money.
Well, it's not just
Um,
free money. I want to point out that this carry trade allows for competitive rates for people seeking credit on durable goods. And
yes,
that's where like the carry trade really kind of carried us, ironically enough, but it carried us through 2023, 2024. Mortgage rates, especially in 2023 and 2024, were very, very, very competitive. They should not have been as low as they were. And a lot of that is attributable to the carry trade because you're able to expand your yield as a bank using that vehicle. Even after the hedging and everything is done, you're able to actually make that up. But rather than make that up to increase, your margins necessarily, it's to keep your margins stable and offer a competitive rate that people will still get, because if they had actually increased mortgage rates to where they should have been, then nobody would have bought a house. So,
effectively leaving the Japan's rate as a cap on the top end of US rates. So
yeah,
if you look at the
exactly. Yeah.
the upper echelons of the yield curve, Japan's rates help suppress those yields. So otherwise, we would have
You
seen,
would have seen like
the
8%,
10
9% mortgages.
yeah, we would have seen the 10-year well above 5%. We would have seen a significantly larger amount of risk within GSIB structure. I mean, this is global banking. This is global currency trades. These are huge trades. They're very carefully monitored by the governments involved. Japan goes to great lengths to stabilize this trade because it's a big money earner for Japanese banks via transaction fees. And they have had this relationship with the US for a long time, even though it's stymied the real growth of their actual economy. And this is something Japan is trying to fix ultimately, right?
They
So,
have to. They have no
yeah.
choice.
And we're going into the December meeting for the Bank of Japan with two dissenters. And one of the big problems is, their wages are stagnating against higher prices, and now even higher prices due to tariffs. And they have a flat population curve to maybe slightly declining now, as a lot of their population starts to age out of the workforce. And so they have some very real economic issues. And normalization of their monetary policy would help a lot. in getting rid of those issues and kind of smoothing over the problems that they have with inflation and overseas costs, and increase the notional value of yen versus the dollar, which opens them up to more international trade and can make them more attractive to
Well, that's what's
immigration.
gonna fix their
Um,
GDP problem that they have. I mean, ultimately too. Like,
yeah, but Ueda, who's Japan's J-POW, keeps saying that they want more confirmation that wage gains are durable, that they're going to remain, and that weaker wages are making the chance of a hike less certain. Then we have the new prime minister, Takachi, and she has signaled that she is a big believer in Abenomics, which supports this, negative interest rate, high inflation type of economy that has, all these growth problems. And she has argued against the Bank of Japan, which is now pushing back against her, and suggested that they do not hike publicly. They have declared that they do not want to see a December hike, maybe in January. So that does kind of split up the probability for the December hike. And then but all at the same time, they've got the yen, and the yen's slipping back down again to levels where it's becoming a very big problem, especially for a country that's almost entirely reliant on imports for energy. It's a really big deal. And so I would say that, a hike at the December meeting is probably like 33 to 66% probability. And then a hike at the January meeting, probably around 80% right now. Um, uh,
the only path forward is up for Japanese rates, is what you're
It
thinking?
yeah, it's really just a
yeah,
matter of
yeah.
when.
I think it's just a matter of when. I mean, Japan's always been extraordinarily conservative. Um, in anything to do with their monetary policy, especially normalization, because they're bucking 30 years of their economic trend that has served their country moderately well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not the best, but it's their country's worked for the last 30 years with that economic policy in place, and combine that with their fiscal conservatism and their fear of creating, international distress in FX markets, their fear of damaging the U.S. because the U.S. is not only an economic ally for them, but a political and military ally as well. And they are, still I believe, the largest holder of U.S. treasuries overseas. And so they are strongly tied into the U.S. They have been since World War II. And that relationship has allowed their country to survive. They're not under a threat by the Chinese expansionism due to their involvement with the U.S. And it kind of puts them into a sort of economic parasitic relationship with us, where they don't want to do any damage to the host, because they need to live off of it. And so um it's definitely, I mean, we can go into all the history and the politics of it, but basically um they are generally reticent to change that policy in any meaningful way. And so I wouldn't have high expectations, but I would say that a tipping point is coming soon where we will need to see a hike out of them. And when that happens, it can exacerbate all the same problems that we saw from the Federal Reserve cut. Because again, effectively, it is the same as the Fed cutting to a degree.
So you think
So
Japanese rates up, long end up?
yeah, I think long end up, short end down. And I think the liquidity problems that we've been seeing with the spread in SOFR and IORB, like we talked about the last couple of times on here, I think those start to exacerbate even more.
Hmm.
And this is something that's actually outside of the Fed's control. And I know there was mention that the New York Fed sat down with G-SIBs to try to address liquidity issues in the short end right now, but ultimately If you're holding 3 to 6 month paper and the price of that, goes up 20% and you're getting 4% yields, you're gonna take your money off the table. You're gonna become a net seller of those bills. And if all the issuance is in bills and you're overweight bills and everyone's selling the bills, who the fuck is gonna buy them? And if no one's buying the bills, you have a lopsided liquidity and your spreads are gonna get blown out. And you're gonna see, the damage that we've been seeing in the markets over the last few weeks due to this, higher cost of cash.
Well, I think we've
Because
seen that
someone's
actually
got to pay a
too.
premium to get that cash, and everything lives on the short end, right?
I think we
Money
even saw
markets
that.
and corporate credit.
We saw that in the most recent, was it a 20-year auction that happened last week?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was a
was a
big old
tail.
tail on that too. I
Yep,
mean,
that was a
yeah,
fat
it's
one. And then not only that, right? We also have market events that drive the need for short-term cash and short-term financing. And we've got one coming up in, the end of this coming week on OPEX.
yeah.
And now OPEX does not have the cash demands the end of month or end of quarter do, but it's coming at a time when there's already stress, and we're already seeing, a 4 or 5 point consistent spread between SOFR and IARB. And then we're seeing, intraday repo markets see pretty consistent demand. That's also a pretty big risk. We're seeing a lot of the things that would infer that there is some larger contagion risk that could spill over into the real economy from
Well,
this.
but so you're basically suggesting that this need for short-term capital is going to outweigh the appetite for these new fresh bills that are getting minted. Hmm.
So, yeah, I have a bunch of things. First of all, I would just like to say, Dork, your pivot to this question was excellent. You got a great
Thank
discussion out
you.
of it. I just watching you guys just do a great job. I want to also, I mean, there's so many things that came up, but I wanted to let you guys keep talking. So, I'm thinking about the broader economic implications of this idea that I brought up a few weeks ago, and I've talked about some, but haven't maybe fully fleshed it out in a rigorous way. But my thought that bringing the rate on the short end down is actually bearish because it starves risk-free returns that are then used for other things, right? So the basically just the risk-free cash flow goes down. Um, and if you couple that with the Bank of Japan raising rates, like you just explained, raising rates does something very similar to dropping rates from the Fed, then you're also closing off that spread, that avenue, for free cash. And so all of these things kind of taken together, I think, as an acknowledgement that, too much cash is the problem. We've already juiced everything as much as we can juice. And, you know,
Yeah, and margin debts are still near all-time highs.
Yeah, there's just the
and I was going to
short-term
bring up
capital is just not
too.
there anymore.
Ooh,
Yeah.
hold
It's
on.
just not there.
Let's plug GammaStrike one more time. So another thing that I watch as well. Please don't show.
Ooh.
Hopefully, it doesn't pop up my Labubu porn.
Oh God, the porn.
Have you been studying?
Ooh,
I
that's
just
actually a really nice chart.
Trying to really get into your fursona?
oh God, I'm not ready for a fursona. I'm not. Okay, so yeah, so what I pulled up is our sort of macro look. So we basically, we're essentially at this point tracking just about the entire options market. We're talking about like fractions of a percent that we're not tracking at this point. And so we aggregated all together to kind of look at things like how much how many contracts are open and what are they worth, right? And so, and how does that change over time? So looking at leverage, and you're looking at, okay, from the bottom of the tariff, whatever you want to call it, tariff getting,
Liberation Day.
basically the
Yeah, the
options,
bottom of being liberated.
lobotomy day, yeah. So
Yeah.
so from the bottom there, we had about just under a billion, like 900, or sorry, under a trillion, so like 900 billion in open options contracts on the market. And then by, today, now we're sitting at, something on the order of, sorry, I read that wrong. Let me read that again. Sorry, 620 billion at the bottom. And then today we're sitting at like 1.2 trillion. So we've almost doubled the value of options from then to now. So people have been betting long, and of course it's all calls, right? It's almost all calls, as it usually is. But people are betting longer than they've ever bet. Like we even got, we really started seeing market weakness in December of 2024. And that weakness kind of bled all the way into Liberation Day, but now we've seen just this. I mean, this is like a steady buying spree that I don't think that I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah, even 2021 doesn't really compare to this.
there's no equal to just how strong and how steady it has been. That being said, it does look like there is some evidence that it
A
might
technical
be.
analyst might tell you that that looks a lot like a top.
I would say, as a non-technical analyst, it's looking like it could be one. Maybe I'd want more confirmation, but if you also look over at the delta, how many contracts, how many shares that these contracts are representing, which might or might not be hedged, right? We've gone from Liberation Day, we went from something around 4.5 trillion up to now almost 6.5 trillion. And that is still sitting well near highs. So what you see is you're having, you know, contracts with, anyway, we're seeing a long-term trend of, interest go up. The amount of money on
Yeah.
the line continues to go up. That tends to correlate with price. As the amount of money that goes on the line goes up, price goes up. The biggest difference, though, is that the price isn't going up. Like, price of the underlying isn't going up quite the same as bets are. And so you're getting a lot of people that maybe are getting a little over leveraged. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring that up of like, this is another area where you're talking about, oh, you're bringing down these free cash flows. You're lowering rates on the US side. You're raising rates on the Japanese side. You're closing off these avenues for essentially free cash, which you can then use to go nuts with.
Well, if you take actually, so something interesting here. If you take like Wyckoff's theory of market cycles, which I think is largely pseudo bullshit, but has some validity in how institutions behave with large investments over time. And if you factor in the cyclicality of the semiconductor market throughout the history of the semiconductor market, it has always been cyclical. And you think about what you're seeing here a little bit more, you'd say that price is staying moderately stable, bets to the upside are increasing, but overall leverage is decreasing. And that should tell you that smart money is walking away from the table.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's kind of been
So we are seeing these like historic retail flows. Everybody and their grandmother once in on the AI bubble.
They've been
right?
Pavloved into it over the last,
Yeah,
15 years.
and they are buying those dips like crazy. But overall leverage, which is mostly carried by institutions, we see that like go look at your net leverage chart there
Yep.
in that same time frame, and that leverage peaked a while ago. And we've been seeing that leverage pretty consistently decline over the last month, despite prices staying near all-time highs. And we're starting to see the market get more volatile and more shaky as that leverage collapses. And I think what we're doing here is we're seeing, in the data, the real effect of what Wyckoff described in his cycles that used, bar charts, is that we are seeing big money and big leverage walk away, and we're seeing retail buy, and we're seeing the tops sustain, but no bigger tops really, just kind of a consistent flat line while institutions sell off. And then once the institutions are done selling off, well, we all know what happens next.
Yeah, I think the key though is that, one of the things that I use this to look for is when could, retail or somebody who is levered into this be tapping out? And so far I haven't seen that. And I think that, the price action on Friday was a good indication of, hey, nobody's really let go yet. And so you're not going to get like these straight down kind of things or, just really short term.
You won't, yeah. I mean, well, think of February, March of this year, where we saw a really similar kind of effect. And that we saw, leverage overall decreasing. Risk was increasing in the markets, right? But we still saw the market kind of flatline throughout a large portion of March because it was still uncertain the way things were going to go. And then, the tariffs came out. They were just as terrible as everyone imagined. Everyone sold off. Like real fear hit. But this uncertainty stage, this is just as damaging, I think. These like big swings, this up down price movement, this starts to shake out people who once had supreme confidence in the bull market and the thesis. And it could just amount to a big correction. And it's maybe, everyone's willing to buy this bubble 10% lower. And we rocket right back up like we did in April, where everyone was willing to buy it 20% lower. But maybe there are fewer buyers down there, and there's more sellers, and the fear spreads. And it has a habit of doing that. It does compound on itself.
Well, that's why I was, kind of coming back to like the longer term recent weakness in Bitcoin. I see that as sort of a canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. Well, I also think that a lot of Bitcoin is the losses in Bitcoin are institutional cash demand, right? Because they have to pay a premium to get cash out of the treasury market, right? So short-term financing is too expensive there. They've got a bunch of leveraged cash locked up in Bitcoin. They can sell off their Bitcoin holdings and get a hold of that short-term cash quickly. And that's probably an effect that's compounded by these stable coins that are holding huge swaths of short-dated U.S. treasuries.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the stable coins, I think, are going to be a whole other can of worms to unpack.
Oh
once
yeah,
that
let's.
to...
We're already an hour and 20
All
minutes.
right.
Let's calm down here.
You
Okay.
guys don't want to what?
Look. I
Cutting me off,
know
Mike.
you love stupid bets. All right. So why don't we just roll in to our favorite segment of the night, which is of course
no new shit.
Yes. Oh yeah. Wait. You're right. We got some new shit coming out, guys, in GammaStrike. That's right.
Woo!
Everybody, hold
New
on to your
shit.
butts
Hold on.
because
Hold
we
on.
just pushed out some new shit.
I can do a song just like you. Woo! GammaStrike, new shit. Woo!
Well, James can just cut this whole section because GammaStrike doesn't have new shit yet. This is only available to beta users.
Well,
It's
yeah,
true.
but it's coming.
And it's not
soon.
complete, and so we're not going to present it on here. Anyway,
Well, we'll get.
How
Well, yeah.
dare you?
So no new features for the coming week,
but they're coming.
but they are coming.
As am I.
And they're so great. I will say one thing.
Sorry, I had to kick you right in the penis there.
Yeah. And I'm going to make it worse because I'm going to take your back of the hand ball tap, which is not sexual aggression because it's the back of the hand.
The TSA eligible fondling.
Back of the hand makes it okay. So I will give you that one. That was a smart move on your part. But I will say, as this is now coming together to the point that we've released it to beta users, all of the features that you fought for that I was like, this is just more work, we need to release it.
Do you love them?
They're pretty nice.
I thought you'd like.
Hey, I had a hand in that a little bit.
Yeah, telling me no.
I'm telling you no. Well, I told you no a few times, but then also me and Nukertons went ahead and went to town for a sec.
This is the only way we know
rogue.
how serious you are about something. We have to tell you no for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then if you still demand it, we're like, shit, we need to make it.
Look,
I feel like sometimes you guys just gaslight me and you like hide shit in DevOps.
We want to release.
And I'm like, I definitely said we need this. And you're like, no, you didn't. What are you talking about?
Gherk, I put a lot of effort into gaslighting you, okay? So I'm glad you notice it and appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I can't show anything, so I guess strike that from the record.
It'll be coming. It'll be coming hopefully by the next Volstars podcast. We'll have some screenshots. It'll look beautiful. Fresh coat of candy paint. Everyone's going to be excited.
And my mom now is no longer a listener. We lost our last listener because I just said it.
Sorry, JFresh's mom.
Yeah.
Okay, well then why
At
don't
least
we move on?
The editor still has to listen to all this crap.
That's true. Yeah, that poor fucking guy. I swear to God. So okay, well then let's move on. I think it's time for us to hit the best part of the show. What do you think?
Yeah,
stupid bets. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose?
All right. I've got the stupid bet for this week.
Wait, no, we gotta recap. We gotta recap.
Let me bask.
JFresh needs his.
All right.
Gotta make him feel good.
I already won the shutdown bet, so it's like this feels like a.
I guess you technically did, but we won in spirit. Okay, me and JFresh won in spirit.
You guys can have your participation.
And stocks went down. I won my sidebar too.
Yeah, JFresh got a double spirit win on that one. All right, he was absolutely on point with a stupid bet. That was amazing.
I was about to tell you that we can't say spirit because it is.
Is that politically charged now too?
No.
Our last viewer?
It's not politically correct for indigenous people, but you are part indigenous person, so it's okay if you say it.
Was it the word spirit?
Like spirit animal. Your spirit bet.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wait, can I say that still? Fuck.
You can.
Wait,
can I say whatever you want? You might
actually. Shit. Okay.
You actually should probably. You could go and
take
see.
advantage
of that.
Say
more shit. Yeah. Seize your privilege.
Yeah. Seriously.
Notice you can see the veins on my arm through my skin. No, yeah, I can't say shit.
Yeah. Call somebody a cunt at the grocery store and see what happens.
How about I don't? Because I don't want pie smacked on my face.
Nobody.
Store?
Have you ever seen an entire pie in anybody's cart at the grocery store?
You know, I don't want to find out if they have one in their cart because it's going to end up in my face. Okay.
All right.
I don't want to take that risk.
Hold on. Okay. All right. What's the bet? Gherk, what's the bet?
Yeah, Gherk, you got a good bet. What
Nvidia earnings.
Okay.
I think, now hear me out. I think for the first time in a long time, Nvidia might just miss. I have a reason too.
Ooh.
It's valid.
You may want to lower your voice, Gherk.
Ooh, hat tip.
The hat tip.
I would just like to point out that Palantir got a merch store before we did.
Yeah, but I mean, no one wants their merch.
Yeah.
What is it? You know, Alex Karp holding a big dildo.
Actually, there is.
I think it's actually Taliban scalps.
No.
Actually, can we put that in our merch store?
Actually, hold on. I didn't want to put this.
I know a lot of people that would buy that t-shirt.
I didn't want to put this in the intro, but I'm gonna bring it up now because I was gonna say what I think this is, but I just want you to look at this and tell me what you think this looks like to make sure that
Is it a picture? Hold on. This is the t-shirt I'm imagining. Oh, that's not it. I was imagining Alex Karp and Peter Thiel standing at opposite ends of a giant double-ended dildo with JD Vance doing chin-ups in the middle of it.
Wait, jump rope? I thought he'd be like a referee.
And then on the back,
there's like a
in
ribbon
bold
tied in
letters, I wanted
between.
to say technocrat.
Okay, but anyway, that's disgusting. So
You should be ashamed, Gherk.
So I just pulled up their website, and it's a picture. It's a T-shirt with Alex Karp's face on it, because that, I guess, is a T-shirt people want.
And it says dominate.
And what
brought to you by a man who pays so much money for dominate.
And for those who are listening, his cheeks are really puffed up, and his mouth is closed, like his mouth is full of something. So my question is, what is his mouth full of on this T-shirt?
Bubblegum shrimp sauce.
Fair enough. I think we'll leave it at that. Bubblegum shrimp sauce. There it is.
That was meta.
For literally like 3 people, yes, yeah.
Okay, so why
that's 100% of our listeners. So.
All right, so wait, so Gherk, why is Nvidia gonna miss? I gotta know.
Yeah.
So last earnings, Nvidia data center growth, the important thing, slowed to its lowest rate in 9 quarters.
Do you have a graph that you could share with the class?
I don't know if I do.
Oh, no. Fuck. No graphs? What are our viewers going to look at?
What are our listeners
Nvidia's earnings report
going to look at with their ear holes? They can't see that.
Contact Nvidia's, all of you just reach out by telephone and contact Nvidia's investor relations and ask them for a comparative analysis of their data center growth over the last 9 quarters.
Wait, are you asking them to basically have a van show up at their house and get a bag stuffed over their head? They're going to get chucked into it and driven away into the desert?
That's not
Gherk, the number.
You make the T-shirt I talked about, and then you'll get that.
The number of data centers is 0 because those are all AI super factories, sovereign AI super factories.
Well, here's what I think. I think Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, all these guys are giving Nvidia all of Nvidia's money back to them. I think they're going to start to shift with this bump in their CDS and their higher coupons on their bonds.
Why would that show up tomorrow or on Thursday, though?
Well, because I think it's already happening.
Sorry, Wednesday? Let me make sure I don't get that wrong.
Spicy. You think it's moving that fast, Gherk?
Wednesday. Yeah, sorry, Wednesday after the close, not Thursday.
Yeah. I will admit that I do think this could play out in the next quarter as well. So I might be wrong completely on Wednesday. But this is the moment where I'm starting to watch very carefully, because I think data center sales are going to tell us a lot about how these hyperscalers feel about this CapEx spend. And I think there is a very distinct chance that increases in their coupons are going to drive them to start pushing out orders, and that is realized immediately. So if Meta, Nvidia, all these guys have started rolling their orders out further into later quarters, that's going to increase the slowdown in Nvidia's data center revenues. And then also we have the China issue, right? Jensen came out and said that Nvidia's share of Chinese advanced GPU foundation went from like 95% to 0, and that they were previously 20 to 25% of their data center revenue. Now we just resolved, possibly, and we don't actually know because there's technically no real trade agreement in place, this issue with export controls, possibly, right? And even with that, China doesn't give a shit about Nvidia GPUs. They still don't want to buy them. They've got enough of them. They can copy them. They're good.
Well,
and they've got,
they can't copy them, but they have enough alternatives, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
People who are using the Nvidia GPUs are doing so because they're able to be lazy because of the amount of money that's being thrown at them. But if you had to actually be economical with the compute that you had, you would do what people like DeepSeek have done, which is innovate with what you have. And that gain in efficiency is so large because the money is so large here that the inefficiency is so large that DeepSeek is able to be competitive. That all of that being said, I do agree.
Well,
China doesn't want the GPUs, right? It doesn't matter if
They don't
Xi
need 'em.
Jinping, if Xi Jinping says no Nvidia GPUs, use Chinese stuff, everybody will fall in line, and that's what's happened. So it doesn't matter if we open like trade for Nvidia GPUs, like none of that matters because nobody's going to buy one unless Z says they can buy one.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this kind of goes back to the statement that I made a few weeks back. Like, what if we don't need to do all these floating point calculations to run an LLM?
What if we don't need to run LLMs?
Wow, that was an interesting
What if we
statement
don't need
out
to
of
run LLMs
the
in
head
gigantic
of
data centers?
the
I think
head
is
of
the bigger
Meta's
question.
AI research this week.
Yeah, and
He
LeCun.
came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. LeCun came out and said LLMs suck. There's a waste of money.
He's been saying that for a while though, which he also is.
He
That's
has.
a little
and
bit
their
of
other division head of AI
Alexander
is all
Wang.
about LLMs.
Well, Alexander
and,
Wang is
infinite scaling.
Okay. Not to make this stupid bet less stupid by giving it credibility, but Jan LeCun actually had drunk the Kool-Aid as much as anybody with LLMs when they first came out. He was like, I mean, it's part of the reason he ended up at Meta is that, in the position he was in because he was a cheerleader and he was riding the wave. And eventually his better nature he saw the end of the road, right? He saw the wave kind of crashing and he jumped ship and changed course, right? But he definitely is part of the problem. Jan LeCun is part of the problem. He is not the voice of reason. He's just a rat jumping ship earlier than the rest of the rats. Alexander Wang, who is replacing Jan LeCun, is an absolute piece of shit. He is,
there you have it, folks.
He's a little know nothing child who dropped out of college like every other founder. Like, he's not like all the other
I'm
founders.
a Harvard dropout.
Yeah, he's special and different.
It
He's
really
unique.
matters what college you drop out of.
Yeah, right. Not that you're a dropout.
He basically made all his money by selling really shitty tag data, by employing third world people to tag all of this terrible data to sell it to people
So
who
he
were
actually
so hungry
coined
for data.
AI.
They were so hungry for data to train that they were willing to buy any data, and he had the most and the shittiest data, so he sold it. And that's basically all he's ever done. He doesn't know anything about AI.
So like Reddit.
So that's all bullish for Nvidia, right? They're going to be earnings.
I know Ron is already trying to silence me. Fuck you, Ron. And Dork, I'll let you bring it back in a minute. But one other thing I want to say to counter Gherk's point about Nvidia.
I need to finish my thesis.
And the order.
No, you don't.
Your
We're already a
thesis is
fucking hour and
mostly
40
done.
minutes in, dude.
Almost.
Almost an hour.
Okay.
40.
The other side of it is that Nvidia is still dumping money into people to buy their chips. So I think they have time.
Fine. Well, hold on. Remember, Nvidia reports on a forward schedule, right? And so in addition to the China factor, probably not like second order effects of the slowdown in Chinese sales not being factored in appropriately by analysts. I think also there are going to be supply and ramp issues with Blackwell systems. I think not only is Nvidia still reliant on companies like Foxconn and other ODMs hitting their scheduled delivery times, also those based in China, don't forget. They're also going to run into slowdowns from TSMC, who's had capacity constraint for some time. And that could push more shipments forward right? Which thins out the total, the total revenues being realized quarter over quarter. And the margins for a miss here are pretty slim. And then everything else Nvidia does, which does make money, the other shit they do has been slowing down in the background of all of this, just like everything else.
Yep.
So gaming, pro
Wasn't there
viz,
some
and like
strength in
automotive
cars
stuff
recently? Or no?
hasn't been doing well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
There's
you're
been a
gonna
lot of consumer GPU softness. There's been weaker workstation demand, right? Because nobody needs to fucking work anymore, right? You just have AI models. So what do you need to buy workstations for?
So
And
you're
then the
betting
auto ramp has
so
been
miss on
shit.
revenue, earnings, or both?
I think a miss on revenue.
Okay.
Initially, I think that's the most likely place to miss.
So you think revenue miss?
I would be surprised if EPS missed because of Nvidia's, self-funding behaviors.
I mean,
right?
yeah,
Where they're
you could take
propagating their own.
you could take his forward guidance that he had last week as maybe a desperate play to kind of front run that.
Yeah, so I think if they even get a slight shift in that mix to lower margin products, there's a distinct chance that they could miss.
Yep.
And then, they've still got to deal with tariffs. They've got to deal with slowdowns in China. They've got to deal with all of these hyperscalers reporting they've already got too many fucking GPUs.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Power them.
Yeah, they can't even power them. That's right.
So who's like the only people buying now are the people Nvidia's funding to buy them directly.
So speculators.
No, they're not even speculators.
Like the core weaves and the
speculators,
the open AIs and the
speculators. You just keep saying speculators in different words.
Okay.
All right. And I think when you're sitting on a,
so your bet is short on
a
revenue.
$5 trillion. Yeah,
I'm betting revenue meat.
Meat? Not
meat.
Like the little beat they always do. They always have
meat
like
as in MEAT meat.
Oh, like can I meet you?
Yeah, let's have a meeting, right?
No, that's a meme. You should, yeah.
I'm not hip with the times, JFresh.
I'll explain it to you another time. Just because we're out of time, but it's actually pretty funny. But I'm gonna say
meat. I'm gonna say within
point,
I'm gonna say within a half percent meat.
I think meeting at this point is a miss.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can't skew
$5
your
trillion
fucking
fucking dollars.
Bet.
All right. No. I know. No. That's I'm saying a miss on revenues.
Even if it's 0.01%.
I think revenues are actually overestimated this quarter.
Okay. I'll take revenue meat within 50 basis points above. Okay, at or above 50 basis points. That'll be me. I'll be the meat.
Okay, so I'll say 52 billion or less revenues.
Okay.
52.5
Are you ready?
billion or less.
I'm going to say revenue beats by exactly the algebraic percentage they have it beat every time. Because they're running a calculation and making the math.
Yeah, get your calculator out, Ron.
Outcome they want. But margins will erode a little bit.
Ooh, that's rough. That'll be bearish.
Ooh, how much?
No, we've already gone on way too long.
I'm not getting that.
I don't want to.
I just want to know.
I just want to play the outro quick. Do it now.
Thank you for listening to Volstars, a GammaStrike production. Please be sure to subscribe and check out our website at app.gammastrike.com.